Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, rather had gonna
Oh, the other funny story from the past few weeks was Colin Johns getting bronze. That was the other story.
Yeah. Dylan Fraser meme. Why do you think that is?
Why do I think it is?
Yeah.
Or why do I know it is?
Oh, just
paddle. Come on, man. It's insane. I played this guy before in mixed. He would hit a drive, and it's comical. It would be like, and now it's so you can actually buy skill, buy force, buy spin with something that is a pure detriment. So you asked me earlier, Thomas, do I have a long-term hope for the business of pickleball? This will be the demise of pickleball if things like this are not outlawed, because the poor little girl over at Crescent is going to get hit in the face at 112 miles an hour, and she's not going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And so watching Colin suddenly be a force in mixed and get bronze, literally buying force, and he, of course, he's not buying it. He's getting it. They make it. But to see that improvement of power and spin was like, whoa, next level.
Yeah, over the course of a very short period of time.
Yeah, he's not doing anything wrong. He's playing within the rules. Like, I credit to him. He's definitely worked on his mixed game. It's gotten better. Credit to him. But, I mean, dude's hitting the ball 15 miles an hour faster than he was prior.
So, all right, let me pretend to be Colin here, right? And you're taking your stance.
Yeah.
I am just getting a paddle, and I have to get it tested like anybody else. Well, what's your problem? I played well.
I think the metrics for the testing system are primitive, and they are not at the point where they can have a exit velocity that's readable and a grit test that is accurate to showcase what the paddle is actually doing in someone's hands.
Mm-hmm. Well, Selkirk agrees with you. Have you heard about this?
No.
So we have a letter from Selkirk to their pro teams. I'll read it off. Should we read it?
I'm excited about this.
Do you want to read this?
You can.
All right. To all Selkirk pro players, this was from a couple of weeks ago. This letter is to inform you of an urgent and important directive from Selkirk regarding recent abnormally powerful paddles. As an organization, we do not regularly insert ourselves into matters related to pro play or rules. However, there are times when we believe matters affect the future of the sport we all love, and we must take action to protect its integrity. Selkirk's opinions regarding abnormally powerful paddles. These paddles significantly alter the nature of the game, not just for pro players, but for the average community player. These paddles may be unsafe for players to use. These paddles have the potential to significantly and negatively impact pickleball's growth and popularity if widely adopted. These paddles may not consistently pass standard requirements and in many cases may not pass a challenge at PPA events. They talk about racquetball's downfall, and they give a directive to all Selkirk pro players. Challenge all abnormally powerful paddles at PPA events. Paddles to challenge include Gearbox Pro paddles and Yola Alpha paddles.
You can't challenge anymore.
Yes. So I think that was implemented as this got circulated.
Got it.
Selkirk will pay for any costs associated with challenging paddles.
But you can't challenge. You can't challenge paddles.
So
no,
now
you can't challenge anymore. Once the paddle tested and it's cleared to play, it's cleared. You can't say after the match, "Hey, that's now delaminated. Now it's illegal. You can no longer do that."
Right, and the part of the reason why paddle challenges were important previously is because the argument has been made, and actually this argument stemmed from certain players that are now using a Yola paddle, that I could give my paddle to you for testing. You give it back, you said it passed. I go to my car with a mallet, and I'm just smashing the core of the paddle. I crush the core, and now I've got a highly illegal paddle that apparently I can use for the rest of the day.
Correct.
Right? Obviously, it's not going to pass tomorrow, but I brought 24 of them with me to the tournament.
So, Zane, as you always say, like, trash is trash and facts are facts. Doesn't matter who the trash comes from, where it is. Like, I side with them. I think they're spot on this front, and it is a detriment to the sport. You weren't meant to be able to hit passing shots off your back foot. I just don't think that's what the game was meant to do. It's kind of the beauty of it is that, and I'm sure you can relate to this, and I can relate with my Crescent buddies. As much tennis as I've played, and whether I'm more athletic or not, I can go have fun with them simply because I can't overwhelm them with power, force, or athleticism. And now you seemingly can. And that sucks because the buddies that I play with that are 65 years old and I like playing with them, if I was to use one of these paddles, they would hate playing with me. It wouldn't be fun anymore. So kudos to Selkirk on my front, from my end. Like, take a stand. If that's the stance you take, then stand by it because you're right.
Yeah, no, you know, I agree with this. Like, I think that these paddles should be challenged, and you know, I think it just calls into question exactly how some of these developments are going through the approval process. You know, it's something that we've spoken about time and time again on here. Is like there are so many issues with these paddles. Like the whole testing process is kind of a joke. At this point, like, what do we even do about it? Like,
the Pro Pickle Labs guys agree that these paddles shouldn't be legal, but they don't. Their hands are tied. Like they're at the mercy of the PPA. They agree that like we shouldn't have to test 10 paddles to pass 2. The metrics are insane. They're coming off, but they can't do anything about it unless the PPA steps up and like, look, we can't do this. This is stupid. Guys are hitting the shit out of the ball. Whatever it is, then the testing is irrelevant until that takes place.
And PPA is walking kind of a line, pretending that they're fully on line with USAP, mostly not. Like, you still have to be USAP approved, but we have different standards to test for PPL than what you have to. So companies are sending one batch of paddles for USAP approval, and then their players are getting something else for their thing. What do you, like, okay, in tennis, what racket did you use?
I mean, I used a variety, but towards the end, I used a Yanx VCORE.
A Yanx VCORE. Was the Yanx VCORE that you used off the rack, or was it something that you were kind of made for yourself?
Off the rack, but then I sent it to a racket customization company, and they made sure the weights and swing weights were what they were. But they do have pro stock models. Yanx in particular generally doesn't do that. They have their racks off the rack are very, very good.
Mm-hmm. But like, you are allowed to go modify your racket in tennis.
Correct.
You're not technically allowed to do that in pickleball, with the exception of weight and grip, right?
Yeah, I just think that the variations in technology from company to company, like the real adjustments you can make in tennis are with string. Not that's what's making contact with the ball. It's not the frame itself. So you can basically try a variety of different things: tungsten, graphite, titanium, and they're not going to have an outlandish response like we have right now with a floating core, or the hell it's called, propulsion core. There was actually, I referenced this to Graham in our pod. There was a time frame when they came out with something called spaghetti strings.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's actually been banned from tennis.
Correct. And you had like club players suddenly beating, guys who were playing on the tour because the advantage was so substantial. That's the only thing that I can compare this to. And I've used this analogy. It's like they're playing with metal bats and we're playing with wood. It's such a substantial juice up of the ball. So I don't know. Like anytime you see that the primary sponsor is making those paddles, and look, credit to Yola, like they made a great paddle. Their paddle's fantastic, but it's up to the powers that be to be like, hey, this is not the way the game should go.
Yeah. So you mentioned the baseball thing. I think that our paddles should have actually a far lower standard of power than amateur paddles. Like,
yeah, I agree. Spin's great. Spin creates interesting points. Power creates stupidity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, in tennis, you can use more or less whatever you want, with the exception of spaghetti strings. Are there any regulations on other string materials or anything, or is that the only thing?
Like you can't put things on your strings. So I don't think you can put like super glue on your strings. I think that was like tested for a little while, but there can't be certain substances on your strings. There's a length gap, like you can't go over a certain metric. I think it's 31 inches. You can't have the head size over a certain metric. It might be 125 or 130 as far as the square inches. So there are things in place like that, but honestly, those don't provide competitive advantages. If you do try those rackets, they're dumb. They're stupid. They're like a rec player who can't swing the racket fast.
Mm-hmm. And they're also like, all you need is a measure, a tape measure to figure out whether your racket's legal or not.
It's crazy, like that's what this has come down to, is that this testing, it's become like a battle of the paddle, and that's what I reference. It's a battle of the paddle. Like, who has a spinnier, better paddle will probably have some success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Oh, that's a bit of a mess.
I haven't heard anybody like complaining about it on the amateur level or like rec courts yet. So I feel like it hasn't really.
I have,
You have?
in forums and whatnot. Yeah.
In forums, I've heard people like going to play tournaments where they play someone with a delaminated paddle. Delaminated paddles are a big issue at our park.
Yeah.
People are just roping the ball. And like, again, credit to Yola. Like, there's probably 10 of the new Yolas at our park. Everybody wants it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard, Caitlin Kerr is an example. She plays like her rec games and little tournaments, and she plays people with the gearbox. It's like, it's head hunting. I'm going to get hurt out here. So I've heard it a fair bit.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this year, when we first switched to the Vulcan ball, which seemed to be a little bit faster, it was kind of cold, and players were coming out with some of these first prototypes. I, like, legit was thinking for, a week and a half, like, this sucks. I'm having zero fun playing with this combination of things.
I had the same feeling, Zane.
Yeah.
The same. I was wagering that, like, the forehand speed was roughly 50% faster than the prior year. People thought I was crazy, but then PB Studio just did a thing like exit velocity on the new paddles relative to the average paddle last year was about a 50% increase on exit velocity.
That's insane. We made this, the sport got 50% faster overnight.
And 10%, okay, fine. But 50%, like, dude, Deckel hits a counter from 50% faster. Yeah, point's probably going to end. And it ruined the sport. Like, everyone loves an extended hand battle. Suddenly you don't have them. The ball is up. The point is over. Like, what are we not grasping here?
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think we all know Theragun by Therabody. Deep, powerful massage in a simple, easy-to-use design. They make the little travel guns now. We've got the more standard one, the big one here. Super popular at the pickleball courts. I think my dad has like 7 of them. But you can also get the travel version to throw in your backpack. Refresh and repair your body with Theragun Prime, our powerful 16mm percussive massage therapy device made simple for active lifestyles. Engineered, listen to this, Zane, engineered to prioritize only the essentials. I thought I was going to say not only the essentials. Only the essentials, featuring our scientifically proven deep muscle massage in a simple, durable design to provide fast, effective relief from aches and pains, accelerate recovery, reduce tightness, and improve circulation. Pair with the Therabody app to follow easy step-by-step routines so you can show up every day ready to take on a new challenge. We ran a survey. 33% of pickleball players that read the Dink newsletter actually use massage guns for recovery, performance optimization, all that good stuff.
I'm not gonna lie, rather had fun, yeah.